Welcome back to the Time for Heroes podcast. This week's guest is Rab Allan. Rab is the guitarist of Glasgow band Glasvegas. We spoke about his early life, growing up in the East End of Glasgow, how he got into music, Glasvegas' career involving Barat and Alan McGee, amongst other people. We also touched on why Rab decided to go back to university to do a PhD, and at the end of the podcast Rab chose his 4 heroes to come for dinner. Hope you'll enjoy this episode, and I'll be back again soon with another one. Thanks very much for coming on the podcast, Rab.
No worries.
Obviously you're from Glasgow band Glasvegas. Could you just maybe just tell us what life was like growing up, where you grew up, and how you kind of came to get into music and stuff like that?
So I grew up in Shettleston in the East End of Glasgow, with my mum and my brother and my sister. It was quite, don't I say it was like poverty, but it was like really working class. Like, you know, like didn't really have much. So it was like family was quite important and stuff. And then my mum used to always listen to like Whitesnake and the Eagles, and she loved Simply Red and all that kind of music. And I always used to like music, but it was always on the periphery of other things that I was interested in growing up. And then it was one day Oasis were on Top of the Pops, and I heard it in the background, and I was just like, what is that? Like, what is that sound?
Yeah.
And then that's when everything kind of changed, and things kind of redirected towards music for me. I think I must have been that was 1996, 97, so I was about 13, 14. And then I was like, right, I want a guitar. So she got me a guitar off like a friend that we had. And it took me about 6 months to realise that I was left-handed, which meant I'd been trying to play it upside down. Nobody told me. So that means I can actually play guitar left-handed and right-handed now.
Right.
Luckily. Yeah. So, so then that's it. And I just started playing guitar, and then that's kind of how that started for me, I guess.
Was James local to you as well?
Yeah, so like my mum and his mum are twin sisters, so
Right.
we always kind of grew up. Like if my mum was pissed off with me, I'd get shipped to James's house.
Right.
If James's mum was pissed off with James would come and stay with me. That was kind of like the respite for the two of them. But he was obviously like football. He's a professional football player and stuff. So his thing was quite similar to mine's, in that we started playing guitar, but we were quite embarrassed to tell anybody or tell each other, because playing musical instruments at that time wasn't very cool. It's not like something you would want to kind of make a big thing about. Or I didn't think it was anyway, kind of where we grew up. And I think it was maybe my mum said to his mum, oh, he's playing guitar, or he's playing guitar as well. And that's kind of how that started. Yeah. It was like a pure coincidence thing that was just seemed to happen.
Right.
And James can't play with guitar. He's awful. So he's chords, and it was like a natural thing. I say he's awful. He's really good, but just in his own way. He's got his own style. And so he was really good at that thing. I was a little bit better at playing lead guitar, so it was just a bit, and it just kind of worked. So
there was no other bands then before Glasvegas?
No.
So how did James's football kind of work into the band? Was he starting to kind of play? Was he starting to play together while he was still playing football?
I mean, what was happening was, I think a football player that's got long hair and plays guitar, they thought he was like taking drugs at some of his clubs. You know, they just didn't seem to grasp that. And I think that the music thing started becoming an issue because he would miss games and say he was unwell to do gigs, or like to go to tea in the park. But then there would be like a photograph of him in the paper and the guy would be like, I thought you were unwell. Do you know, that kind of thing? So it kind of, funnily enough, the football thing for him came to a head. We were playing in King Tut's, and Alan McGee came to see us with Carol Barat. And so before the gig, James got fired from the football team That was his last ever football team. I can't remember which team it was.
Mm-hmm.
And that same night, like 10 minutes later, we played in Alan McGee Saws and Carol was there. And that's when everything started to change for us. We're quite a like lucky band, I think, that things always seem to fall into place.
Yeah.
At the right time, you know.
Mm-hmm. So going back, because I'm going to touch on Carol Barat and Al McGee and things like that, but just playing live, obviously, in Glasgow when you were coming through, do you think you were part of the scene? Because obviously there was like, round about then there was Apple Scruffs and High Five Alive. I used to go and see their bands, and I can mind coming and seeing you at the Barfly, I think. My mate got me tickets for that. I'd never heard of these, and you blew me away that night. But do you think at that point you were part of a scene, or do you think you kind of stood out a bit?
I think there was a scene of bands, but I don't think we were a part of it. But I don't think that was a choice. I think it was just that we were doing our own thing at that point. Especially in Glasgow, like a lot of people in Glasgow, I think they thought it was a bit of a joke, James doing the accent thing. Nobody really got it. I don't think there was many bands really doing like a Glaswegian accent at that point. And we had started just touring up and down the UK. We bought a transit van, put a mattress in the back, and we'd all quit our jobs and we were just driving up and down and doing like crappy little gigs. So we were never really only in Glasgow enough to be a part of something, I think. But I like the Apple Scruffs is one of my favourite ever Scottish bands. Like I'm still really good mates with Johnny.
Yeah.
We had him out on tour just before lockdown and stuff, and like he's just such a talent, you know. And I think there was a lot of good bands at that point, but yeah, I don't think we were a part of any scene, which is, I guess that's a good thing and a bad thing. I guess.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought. Like when I seen you at the Barfly that night, I thought this is like completely different from anything that I'd seen at the time, and that's always stuck in my memory. Going forward then, so obviously King Tut's and you met Carol Barat and Al McGee.
Yeah.
The thing with Carol Barat, obviously this was kind of when Libertines were kind of splitting up.
Yeah.
And yous were coming out and The View was kind of came out around about the same time.
Yeah.
Obviously, Pete Doherty was kind of championing The View. And obviously, that's him with Carol Barat we used. Do you think that was was that just coincidence, or was there a bit of, right, I'm going to take this Scottish band and I'm going to take this one? Do you think there was any kind of competition?
I've never thought of it like that before, and that is quite funny because I think The View was maybe like a year before us. And then the Carol thing was quite funny because Carol was recording the first Dirty Pretty Things album in Glasgow. So that's why he was there with Alan, because Alan was managing him at the time. So he had basically just been there and he just fell in love with James, totally loved James. And they two are like best mates even now. Like they're still best mates. It's not even about a music thing, it's just because they got on so well.
Yeah.
Carol messaging me about James's stag do and all that and what's happening, and it's so it's like it's the like brothers. So although Carol does like the music, there's a much deeper thing there, like a much deeper friendship. Yeah, which is strange in the whole Alan kind of link up thing as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just been a good friendship for us.
It's just funny because I was right into The View as well, and kind of it's something that's never seemed to be brought up, but I kind of always seen it and thought that's odd that kind of one likes this band and one likes that band. Kind of it just seemed a bit funny.
I swear I've never thought that.
What sort of relationship did you have with The View? Did you have any sort of relationship with him? Because you were both kind of, as I say, at the same time, kind of completely different.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I met them was at Benicasseum in 2000 and must have been 2009, and I'd had a fight with my girlfriend at the time, and I was leaving the hotel, and Kyle was in the elevator, and I didn't recognise him. And then he was pure pissed off with me. And he said to somebody, he was pissed off, and I went up to him, I was like, oh, mate, I was so sorry. I was like, I just had a massive fight with the missus. I wasn't being like disrespectful or anything. And ever since then, we've just been totally cool.
Right.
I bump into him every once in a while. I think, do you know what? I think the I think Kyle is like a really underrated songwriter. To be honest, not even just with The View, but on his own with solo stuff. I think his new solo albums kind of showing that it's like there's a much deeper thing there. I love him. He's some guy.
So, obviously, recording the first album in New York.
Yep.
How did this all come about? Is this the record label that's decided he's going to New York?
No. So what happened was we were rehearsing one night and we were travelling home. James got a phone call on his phone and it was Rick Rubin. And Rick's like, "Oh, how you doing? This is Rick Rubin." And James was like, "Fuck off," and hung up the phone. James thought it was a joke. So Rick Rubin phones back. He's like, "Look, it's really Rick Rubin." And basically, I don't know how, but Rick Rubin had got a hold of the demos from the first album and was trying to get us to sign to Columbia. So he is really good friends with this guy, Rich Costey, who's the guy that ended up doing the first album. And he was like, "I really think you should think about working with this guy. I think he would be really good for your sound." So, like, 4 people for the East End of Glasgow who get told you can go anywhere in the world and record. We were just like, let's go to New York. So Rich was based in New York. So it was just like, I think from signing the deal, we were in New York like 2 weeks later recording. It was like everything was like really quick.
Yeah.
So, but that was just like amazing. Like I'd never left Scotland before, I don't think. You know, and then, well, like I'd been to like Spain and did things like that, like on holidays, but to like just go to like America for like 3 months or 4 months was just like incredible. So.
And how did you deal with that? Were you homesick or anything? No,
not really, because I had so much money in the bank that it was like I'd never had that much money before. So everything was like new and exciting, and I was with my best mates. Do you know what I mean? So it was like that kind of happened a wee bit later. I guess things went a wee bit darker, and things got a bit strange. But at that time, everything was just so new and exciting, and you know, you could just go drinking and partying and record, and it was just so much fun.
Well, it turned into an amazing album. Got to number 2, done it in the charts. Looking on the producers, obviously you've Rich Costey in the first one and Flood for the second one, but James has produced all the albums as well alongside they two, and then the last 2 on his own. So how much of an undertaking is that, producing as well as being a recording artist? How does he cope with that?
I think because he takes such a role in the development of the songs, it's not just like some songwriters will do, like I say, an acoustic demo, give it to the band and everyone does their thing. James always does a demo of the song to give to the band as like a break. So here's the starting point for each of these. So even with the early demos that we put out, he was producing all of that stuff as well, because he knew exactly how he wanted like each instrument to sound. There was no room for manoeuvre. So it was difficult when we were recording with Rich, because Rich would have specific ideas and James would have specific ideas, and they would kind of butt heads. But I think there was like a level of respect there that sometimes one would win, sometimes the other one would win. Right. But everything turned out for the best. And it was the same with Flood as well. Like, you don't work with Depeche Mode and U2 and have nothing to give. You know, you're going to have some good stuff there. And that's just the way it was. When it came to the third record, I think at that point we were just like, we were pretty sure about what we were doing. And then with the last record, because James recorded it, engineered it, did everything himself, he just didn't need anyone else. Yeah,
well, because you strike us as kind of a band that's kind of comfortable with how you are, how you sound, and kind of you're not going to compromise. Obviously, is it pretty much the same with the artwork? Because I heard James on another podcast, and he was going on about the artwork for the first album as well, and it was like he had a big argument with the record company about that, didn't he?
I was on that phone call.
Right.
And it's one of the most cringy things I've ever been involved in my life, to be honest. And it was like, I don't want to be rude about all these people, but see, most of the people that work for record companies, they're fucking idiots, right? They're bluffers, and they don't really know what they're doing. And see if you're going to start questioning somebody like James, so I think because James spoke with a certain accent, came from a certain place, people thought maybe he wasn't as educated as what he actually is. But James is really clever, and he researches things, and he knows the things that he talks about, because sometimes I think you need to prove yourself a wee bit more when you come from like a specific background. So when people start questioning, well, James, you know, you're not allowed to do that because of this, and then James goes, well, actually, by this law, you're allowed to do this. Then people are baffled. They're like, oh no, and it's like, well, you know, we still need to look at that. And James is like, I've already looked into it. Oh, I've spoke to everybody. We're allowed to do this. People are like, then their backs are against the wall because that person doesn't know what they expected them to be. Do you know what I mean? And James has always been like that. Like, he's always did the artwork. He's always come up with ideas for the videos. He's always did all these different things. And I think people are quite surprised about that. And that's why sometimes things are more difficult, because when you've got your hand in everything, not just the writing the songs, but the recording the songs, the artwork, the videos, do you know what I mean? Things just take long. So, but yeah, that phone call was, I think basically the way the phone call was that they had sent us over some artwork, and it was pure like silly things, like if they wanted to put a photo of Elvis on the front cover of the album. It was just like pure eye, because we sounded a little bit maybe like a 50s sound with the reverb, and James was just getting pissed off and ended up saying, look, my mum could do better work than this. Like, you're supposed to be on Sony Records. What the fuck is going on here? If you're going to send me something, at least send me something good. No something just ironic and silly, like a headshot of Elvis. It's like, what's going on? And I think they were quite taken aback, but they never did that again. So
the next album, Euphoric Heartbreak, that came in at number 10, and it was top of the charts in Sweden.
Yes.
Which you've had a Swedish drummer as well, haven't you? Or you had a Swedish drummer at the time. And pretty much wherever I've looked, you seem to be like Sweden, Scandinavia, you seem to be massive. They seem to take to you there. Why do you think that is? Do you think that's just because of the drummer, or?
No, because we were massive in Sweden before we got you on in. And to be honest, I can't even tell you why it is. Sometimes I think music just connects in a place at a certain point in time, and that's just what happened with that record. And the thing is, we're bigger in like Sweden and Scandinavia than we are in Scotland, which is like weird, but it's cool because it means you get a wee holiday to Sweden every couple of years to go and do some festivals and do some nice big gigs and stuff. But we're a strange band, and because that first album is so big, like worldwide, we can go anywhere in the world and play to like 300, 400, 500 people. Like anywhere, we can do that anywhere in the world.
Right.
So we're just really lucky that way. Whereas some bands like are just like more UK based, or they'll do a couple of things, but like, yeah, I'm just so grateful for that we're able to do that off the back of the first album.
Because Amy McDonald, I listened to something we heard the other day, and she's I think it's kind of similar with her in Germany.
Yeah, she's massive, like unbelievable the size she is. Like, and it's not. I think there's a few countries like in that like kind of Northern Europe where she's massive, and like we're talking like arenas and stadiums. Like, yeah, it's bizarre.
It's bizarre, isn't it? So, what about the second album? Because I mean, I've heard interviews. Obviously, you've not really done so many interviews. It's usually James. I'm pretty sure I've heard kind of stuff coming out that he wasn't as happy with the second album. But I think that's the best album out of your four. So what did you kind of think of it?
So I think it's the best of the four. I think the songs are the best on it. I think there was just loads of like there was loads of like mad stuff going on. So with the second record, I think that because we changed our sound so much from the first record, people just, and he came out like dressed in white. I think that was quite a departure for a lot of people. So people didn't really know how to deal with that to start with. Then he's singing songs about homosexuality and mad stuff. That was another thing I think people couldn't really deal with. And also, I think Sony Records, it was Columbia, we were on Columbia Records, but basically just like they dropped us the week the record came out, even though it went to like to get a top 10 record.
Yeah.
But they basically they just couldn't really control us. Like, we would just call them out and everything, and it was in our contract that we had final say on everything.
Right.
Every single thing. Like, minute, we had to go our way, and they just weren't happy. it was never going to end well because of that. But yeah, so it was all of those things. Like they basically stopped promoting the record the week it came out, and then that was that. So that's kind of how the second one, because I genuinely think it's got the best songs. It didn't connect as well with people than the first one did.
I don't think I came to it straight away. I can mind people saying that, like, the first single, "The World Is Yours," people were saying, "Oh, it sounds crap because he sounds like he's singing underwater," stuff like that. So I was maybe like 2 or 3 months before I bothered listening to the album, and then kind of once I listened to it, I thought, that's amazing. And that's obviously the first album is full of tunes, but the second album, I like something different. I like a band to kind of change. So that's always been my go-to Glasvegas record. Obviously, the third album, James was producing it himself. He brought it out with he done the gig in the church.
Yeah.
So again, was that James? Is this all kind of James's ideas of how it's going to be marketed and things like that?
I think the thing is that we never really were in a band to try and be successful. We were just in a band to be creative and play music.
Yeah, which is the right reason.
Yeah, and so we've never really chased like fame or money, or like, you know how like people write songs sometimes thinking this is going to be big or this is going to make us, like, I mean, if you look at the singles that we've put out since we've been chosen with the second record, second kind of third record onwards, it's all been songs. It's like piano songs and stuff that, I mean, the most recent record we put out, Shake the Cage, which is like, nobody would put that out. There's other songs in the album that are more commercial that we could put out, but that's not really what it's about. It's just about kind of being creative and trying to get what it is that we've made across.
Yeah.
But I see with other bands, I think people inadvertently kind of sell their souls a wee bit sometimes and do things because they think they should, and then find it quite hard to live with.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
And I sleep really easy at night knowing that there's decisions we could have made that we didn't, based on like creativity and just a wee bit of integrity as well. Like, no totally selling myself short.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and the rest of the band. And so that's why things like having a successful album or whatever's never really been what I've wanted. It's just to be creative and express what the band is. And you're saying about the band having a sound and stuff. And
yeah. So obviously that one playing in the church, just going back, I was looking, you've played like hundreds of different prisons as well.
Yeah.
I don't know, I didn't count, but it looked like it might be more prisons you played in than Johnny Cash. Or even Pete Doherty, he's done a few as well. So what do you think the thinking is with that?
So our manager Denise used to work in social work along with Geraldine, and they had people that would be in and out of prisons and stuff. And I think the thing is, music has got the ability to change people and to have a positive impact on people's lives. And I don't think anybody's ever that far gone that they can't be helped. Like, I think there's always, you know, and I know people disagree with that and or whatever, but so that's kind of what that was. We just thought, let's go in and play some of these songs to some people and see what happens. And this was before we had a record deal. This is before we had any fans. We were going in and doing this. We did Berlin, we did a few in Edinburgh, and then we did Pullman, Young Offenders. And then once we did the record and first record and did all the touring, we came back to Pullman and played again. And that time the warden was there with his whole family, all proud. After the first time, he didn't care, and he never turned up the first time. And but it was good, and then after that, a few of those kids from Pullman came out and started bands.
That's brilliant.
And we'd get in touch with us and say, you know, that made us want to start bands, and it's like that's really all you can do. It's like you affect one person, and that's you know, that's good. That's good enough for us.
That's absolutely amazing. I'd never heard that before. That's brilliant, man. So obviously the new album was coming out, obviously delayed with COVID and stuff like that, and you were doing 10th anniversary gigs for the first album.
Yeah, that was 2018 with them, yeah.
And that's when you were doing the kind of acoustic shows, and you had Jonny Skinner at these. Yep. So what do you think how do you think it went doing the acoustic gigs? Did you enjoy that?
The acoustic gigs are some of the most enjoyable ones that I've done, to be honest. And I think it's because sometimes when you do these big gigs and everything's dead loud and you kind of miss the kind of sentiments in the songs and the kind of important aspects of them. So when everything's stripped away, you're kind of hearing James is most like bare and honest. I think that's kind of the thing that people want. Sometimes they want to get that kind of connection, which is easy to get across. So yeah, the gigs were amazing. I think the two that we did first was in Glasgow, the Clutha, and we hadn't really grasped how to do the gigs yet. So those were probably the least best, although they were still really good. But I think it was once we started, we did a couple in Edinburgh and we did up and down England, and they started to get really, really good towards the end. And it was a good chance for us to play some of the new songs for people as well. So yeah, and we got to see Jonny play every night, which was amazing.
Well, this is a thing, like, so because Jonny's not done anything for years and years. I message him 2 or 3 times a year saying what he's doing. So I'm trying to get him on the podcast. He says he's going to come on next year. But like, I seen a video. I was watching a video last night, and it was Heartbreaker, where and Jonny came up and sang at these. And there's a thought crossed my mind that would there ever be a chance of Jonny becoming part of Glasvegas, because he I don't know what it is, he kind of suits the rest of the band.
I think if anybody was ever going to join the band, it would be Jonny. He's the only person, I think, that kind of, because it's not just like a look thing or whatever. Like Johnny's cut for the same thing that we are, and how he thinks about music and what he's trying to achieve. It's the same fit. Yeah. And like we've got him up to do songs before, but he's come up and did Daddy's Gummies at festivals before and stuff, and he's one in a million. He's just like such a special guy. And I love the Apple Scruffs, but like even the newer stuff that he's been doing, it's just incredible.
Yeah. We can't let him go kind of, like, he can't be missed. People need to see him. He needs to kind of be on the same kind of level as yourselves. He can't just go undiscovered. So obviously Godspeed came out this year, April. How do you think things have went with that? What do you think the reception's been?
Everybody seems to like it. I think it's just the fact that we've not really been able to do anything to promote it. There's been no shows. Yeah. The thing is, we started recording this album 6 years ago, maybe more than that. So we just want to get out. Like, James is working on new stuff already. So it's like, because it's never like this album's going to be the big one. It's just like, let's just make music, put it out, do some shows, do the next album. Do you know what I mean? That sounds a bit cynical, but that's just the reality of how music is now. It's not like the way it was where you bring out an album and you think this could be the biggest album, and it's not like that. So for any band, you know. So it's like we don't. Well, I'll speak for myself. When we put an album out, I don't expect anything to happen because I know how the music industry works. I just look forward to spending some time with the boys, playing some gigs, getting some time away from the wife, and getting really drunk on tour.
Yeah,
and that's like the best. That's the best you can hope for, you know. And that makes me happy. So. And
what gigs have you got coming up? Have you got like a proper tour coming up?
So this year we've got maybe 6 or 7 gigs. Most of them are festivals. So we're playing in Sunderland this Saturday as a warm up. Then Sunday we're doing Portsmouth Victorious Festival. And then the weekend after, we're doing a new festival.
That's that one in Dalkeith, isn't it?
Yeah, that looks amazing. So it's Callum Trainer. He's thrown it together in like 3 weeks. It is unbelievable what he's actually done. So it's us, the Sherlocks, Jonny, Kyle from The View, Nova and some other people, and it's just going to be such a great day. I mean, it's a really small festival. It's like 1,000 people, but it's just going to be such a great wee event. And then we're doing Playground Festival 2 weeks after that, and then we're doing another festival in England the day after that. And then we've got a few more things. Then next year we're doing a 3-week tour of the UK, and we had a big European tour booked, but because they haven't fixed the visa touring issues yet, we've put it on hold because we'd probably end up losing money,
right?
Which we just can't afford. I don't mind touring and break even, but I'm not going to tour and lose money on something. It's just pointless. So until they figure out all the Brexit bullshit, then that's just getting put on hold.
So what's the script with touring? Because obviously, we're like 10 plus years down the line for when you first started. So do you still look forward to touring? Are you still as wild as you were at the start?
So touring at the start was basically, we just had like a party for like about 5 or 6 years. That's really what happened. It was just a constant party on tour every night. It was like the gig was good, but where's the party? And that's just what it was all the time. And it was great. And I loved doing that. But then like life changes and things need to change and you can adapt. So I'd say James has probably calmed down the most. And then me and Paul still kind of like to have a good time, but within reason. Like I keep really fit and healthy now. So like I go running every day, whatever city we're in.
Yeah, so that comes up my Facebook every day. I see you at your runs. Yeah.
So I can't get too like drunk or too mad about it because like I know that I'm going to do that the next day. So that probably keeps me on like a bit an even keel. But we still have a really good time. Yeah, I think you need to, because we're in such a fortunate position that, you know, I see bands, and I've seen bands for years who go on tour and play Monopoly at night and stuff, and I'm just like, you're not living your best life. you're not having, you know.
Is that Kingsley Leon? Kingsley Leon?
No, they played ping pong. White Lies played Monopoly after gigs, and it was just like, boys, come on, have a bump or something. No, we're going to go to bed soon. I was like, oh my god. So like I put up Bono still has a good time.
Right.
Bono has a good time. Bono's got like I think it's like a 4 days off, 3 days on rule. So he'll like get drunk, do whatever he does for 3 days, then he'll have 4 days off, then 3 days on, then 4 days off.
Right.
So it's like everybody finds their feet, because like I couldn't see the way I partied at the start. I couldn't still be doing that just now. You know, you need to find what works for you. So
no more Sharpies with Paul at the U2 gig. I've heard that story as well. We'll not be having any stories like that anymore.
Paul gets given a Sharpie at the end of the gig when we go to the merch desk, and it gets taken straight back off him because he does like to draw things. So yeah, that was just one of the best things that's ever happened in my life, to be honest. So yeah, one of the funniest as well.
Yeah, going to tell it just so that the listeners know what I'm talking about.
So we were touring with U2, and we did like Hampden and Glasgow and Wembley in England, and it was like four big stadiums we did. So when they put us in the dressing room in Wembley, they had all the England players on the walls on these big massive prints, but they'd put covers over them like curtains. So Paul decided to start drawing things on the prints, and some of it was like quite. I mean, it was all really funny. So. He would draw like guys' willies coming out the bottoms of their shorts and all that. It was just, I mean, it was good. So what happened was we did the gig, we left, we totally forgot all about it, and then our management got a phone call saying, look, these photos have been, they've been drawn on, and we think it was Glasvegas. And our manager was like, are you sure it was them? Because Elbow had supported the night before, and they had the same dressing room. So I'm sorry, Elbow, if you get the blame right. So what happened was our manager said, so are you sure? And the guy said, well, 99% sure. And our manager said, so there's a 1% chance it wasn't Glasvegas. And he fought and fought. Basically, it ended up costing us 25 grand. We had to pay 25 grand to get it was like 12.5 grand to get the pictures cleaned and fixed. And we had to donate 12.5 grand to the Wembley charity. something. So it was like the fee for a full gig.
Right.
But do you know what? It was the best 25 grand I've ever spent, to be honest. So like, I don't regret it. I don't think. I know Paul doesn't. So yeah.
See, just going back to like the management then. Obviously, Denise is your cousin and James's sister. She's part of the management, isn't she? Yeah. So how does that work? Do you think that's better, having somebody like that in charge of you?
I think there's positives and negatives, and the positives outweigh the negatives. But then you can be a lot more honest with people and say you're being a pure asshole. Do you know what I mean? Or like if you're sitting around and having Christmas dinner and you start fighting with people about work things, which it happens sometimes. But I think it's James's sister and James's stepdad that manages the band.
Right.
Then Alan McGee came on and he started managing as well for this record. So, but I think the thing is that Dean and Denise have got different strengths. So that's kind of how it worked in the first place. They'd never managed a band. They'd came from totally different backgrounds, but it was just the way it is. We always seem to pick up people who have never did that job because we like them as people. But Dean and Denise just totally like flourished. Like as soon as they started managing the band, and when it came to negotiating with record companies and stuff, Denise is vicious. Denise is like, she's terrifying. But she's like her mum.
No way. She's been all right on the emails I've dealt with her.
Telling you, she's a pure animal, right? But this is the ones you need to watch out for. See the ones that are really nice, but see as soon as you do something, just. But that I think you need that with a manager. You need somebody that's really approachable, but just won't take any bullshit. And that's the way she is. I mean, we're all quite scared of her, and she's family. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, what else is she doing? Is she managing any other bands, or is it just solely yourself?
It was just us for ages, and then she started managing a band called Freakwave. They're really good, so they're in recording just now. She's managing two other artists, a girl called Lamaya and a girl called Cherry. And she's just kind of developing them just now and getting them into songwriting and learning how to do that kind of thing. But Freakwave, I think, will probably be releasing music this year.
Right.
And the singer is just a star. She's like one of the most gorgeous girls I've ever seen. She can sing like fuck, she plays guitar. She just looks incredible. Like, I think even without playing music, the band just looked quite special. So I think straight away.
Yeah.
And she writes really good songs. So
I'll have a wee look at for her. Obviously, one of the big things that I've heard on a couple of other podcasts as well is that along with the music, you're also been back at uni.
Yeah.
So how did that come about? Why did you initially go to uni, and why have you stayed so long?
So I always felt like a wee bit daft. So like I was clever at school, but I never really applied myself. As soon as I picked up a guitar, everything else went to shit. So I did the music thing for so long, but I'd never actually like achieved anything for myself. I'd always did it as part of a band. So when we took a break after the third album, I was just getting drunk all the time and just basically being a lazy git. And my girlfriend at the time was like, you need to do something. You need because you're just sitting and sitting up all night and sleeping all day and stuff. And she was like, you always wanted to get a degree, why don't you go back to uni? So I ended up going back to uni for 1 year, loved it, did another year, and now I'm doing a PhD. And it's going to be Dr. Rab.
Yeah.
Dr. Rab, believe that.
And
so
are you going to get people to, like, they'll need to call you that then? You're going to, on stage,
do you know what?
James will need to refer to you as Dr. Rab.
He refers to me as loads of different names already, so I'm sure he can call me whatever he wants. It's quite a mad one, but yeah, it's the, do you know what? It's the hardest thing I've ever done. So it's the hardest thing I've ever done, but it's good. And my wife's pregnant, so it's good because I'm at home just now and I'm going to be at home for the baby because I'm doing a PhD and I can work from home. And so that thing I said to you about life always working a certain way and things always working out for each is, that's just another one of those things. So
yeah.
And then obviously I can go and do gigs whenever I want because I'm piece. So it's like everything just works out really well.
So, what is it that what is the PhD you're doing? What is it on?
So it's like a partnership with the Scottish Music Industry Association, who put on the SAY Award each year. And basically they wanted somebody to map and measure the Scottish music industry, to kind of see how it works, to see where the value is, and to see if there was any areas that could be made better, to generate more value. So putting that really in like a really simple terms, I'm really seeing how much money the industry earns in Scotland, how much generated. Then we're going to try and go to government and lobby to try and get more investment for music, to say, this is what it makes, but if you invested in these areas, it would make a lot more for the economy.
Which is quite kind of prevalent now with COVID and everything that's happened, and the lack of funding that music's received.
Do you know what it is? The COVID thing came at a time and it made the project really uncertain at one point, and then it was like, do you know what? This is probably going to highlight some of the things that's wrong with the industry, to do with like streaming and people's incomes just not really being enough for them to live on, as it is when music is normal.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't want to say it's been a good thing for the project, but it's obviously not a good thing for everyone else. But it's just good everything's starting to open back up again. Like people are actually starting to do gigs. That's like bizarre. So so like I can actually start doing some proper research. But I've got I've done about a year and a half now, and I've got about a year and a half, 2 years left. So,
right. And do you think you'll manage to kind of juggle the band and the baby and the PhD? How will all that work together?
No, I'm absolutely shitting myself, because like it's just going to be, I mean, life is hard for everybody, but when you start throwing all these other obstacles in, do you know what I mean? And it's like when I go and do the band, then my mind needs to be totally on the band, and when I'm doing a PhD, my mind needs to be totally, so it's like really hard to juggle these things. But do you know what? I just need to do it. Do you know that? It's like, and I think that's like going back to the East End of Glasgow working class thing. You just put your head down and get on with it. That's just, life's so much harder for a lot of other people. So like me sitting complaining, going, oh, this is really hard. Nah, loads of other people have got it a lot harder.
Right. So we'll get you on maybe for a wee update once you've Dr. Rab Allan. So I'll not keep you too long. Obviously, the last bit of the show is obviously because it's good time for heroes. You pick 4 heroes to come for dinner, and then you need to tell us what you're going to make them as well, if you're a good cook or not.
I'm a great cook, actually. I used to be terrible, but my wife taught me how to cook.
Right.
So I wrote a wee list. So 2 of them we've already mentioned, but so the first one is Noel Gallagher, because that was the whole reason I started playing guitar.
Right.
If there was no Noel or no Oasis, I don't even know if I would have been playing the guitar. Some people would probably say that's a good thing, but he would be the first one. And then we ended up touring with Oasis. We were on tour with them when they broke up, and that was just like an amazing experience. And I was just so nervous. Like I never really actually spoke to him that much. I spoke to Liam a lot more.
Right.
Because I was just so nervous to talk to Noel.
And
which is not really me, so yeah.
What's it like kind of touring with a band like that then? Do you get a lot of time with the band, or is it quite kind of distant?
I mean, every band that we toured with was different. So like we did like Kings of Leon, we did U2, we did Oasis, we did Muse, and the dynamic was kind of different with all of them. But with Oasis, Liam would come in the dressing room every day, sit down, have a cup of tea, and ask how we were getting on. Every single day.
That's magic, man. That'd be mind-blowing sitting with him.
And even I was like, what the fuck's going on here? So, and he would basically be like, do you need anything? You got enough booze? Is everybody looking after you? Like, bands don't need to do that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? At any level. So he was the only one to do that. So like, that's why I'll always totally respect Liam. I love the guy and he's amazing. And people don't know he's a big pussycat. People think he's but he's not. He's like a lovely, lovely, sweet guy. But no, it's still for me like the guy that made me get to where I am in terms of inspiring me to do that. So so that's why I picked Noel. So my second hero would be McGee, because he's just. Have you ever met Alan?
No, I'm trying to get him on this podcast as well, but he's murdered to get a hold of.
He is the maddest guy I've ever met. The maddest guy I've ever met, right? And it's like, what happened was when I was doing my, like, I call him Uncle Alan. Alan's just always been there in the background, kind of saying, you should do this, try this, da 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 da. He's just such a cool guy. So when I was doing, when I went back to uni, I interviewed him for my dissertation. And it was at that point, he was like, what's happening with the band? And I was like, oh, you know, James is living in Sweden just now and we're doing different things. And he was like, I want to manage a band. Get your shit sorted and I'll come back and I'll help you out. And I was like, oh, I don't really know. And I told James, and James was like, right, boom, let's do it. And Alan's just kind of got that thing with people where, and it's the same with Kyle. Like, I think he's been great for Kyle, managing Kyle. He's just kind of few wee moves and he knows what to do. And
he strikes me as the type of guy, he's just, if he gets an idea, he'll be like, right, we're going to do this. Where most people would be like think of the downside of it. He just says, no, we'll do this and it'll be a success. And then it is. Yep,
tunnel vision is as soon as he's got something, he goes with it. But before I ever met Alan, I'd read a lot of his books and I knew all his stories, like mad shit that he'd done. And he doesn't even remember most of it. So I'd be asking him about stuff and he'd be like, are you sure that was me? And I was like, because I read it in the book. And he was getting embarrassed because of the stuff I was saying to him. And it was like, he's just such a cool guy, man. And I think we're really lucky that he's Scottish. Do you know what I mean? Like, to have somebody like that.
Yeah.
Did what he did in come from Scotland. So he's my second hero. So my third hero, this is going to be controversial, right, is Graham Souness. So I'm a Rangers fan and Paul's a Rangers fan. James is a Celtic fan. So I had to pick something to do with Rangers because I know James would do it if it was a Celtic thing. So I picked Graham Souness because I like divisive people that cause that kind of that are either loved or hated. And I think every single Rangers fan absolutely loves Souness. And I think everybody else outside the Rangers absolutely despises the guy.
You would think that, wouldn't you? But I'm a Celtic fan and I love him. I love his kind of style. That's kind of the way I play football. I'm a dirty bastard.
You know what? I was watching the videos earlier and I was just like, just stomp on people and everything. I was like, you wouldn't get that anymore. But he was so passionate and the moustache and everything. And I was just like, he's just like a pure legend. I think he seems to have softened a wee bit now.
He's brilliant on TV as well. He's kind of, him and Roy Keane are probably the best for just kind of speaking their mind and saying it how it is.
I know. And even then when he went to Galatasaray and did all that stuff, it was just like, he was always kind of divisive wherever he went. And I like that. I don't like people that are just like quite straight. I like people that are flawed. That's what I'm trying to say. I like people that are flawed because that's real. And that's quite natural. So I was trying to think of a fourth one. And I was really struggling because, so the fourth one I've picked is really different. So I've picked Neil Young.
Right.
Because I've started getting really into Neil Young again. So I used to love Neil Young. Yeah, to the point where it was like quite unhealthy probably, how much I loved the guy. And I went to see him in 2016 at the Hydro. I always heard like he would either be amazing live or he would be crap live. So I was like, what are we going to get? But I'd looked at the set list and he was doing most of the Harvest album. And I was just like, yeah. So I turned out and he came out with acoustic guitar harmonica and just started playing all these acoustic songs. And I was just like, it doesn't happen very often at gigs that I'm like blown away. And it's like, you're in a different place, you're in a different world. And that happened that night. And it was like, it was otherworldly what happened. And I've not really felt like that since. So would that have been
running about the same time he played Glastonbury?
I'm sure it was because he was playing with that. It was like a band he had, but the band he had were like a proper band on their own. And he came out and did like, it was like Down by the River, like a 28-minute version of that and stuff. And it was just like, but it was all the hits he played. was just one of the most special things I've ever seen. So we're actually friends with, I think he's still going out with Daryl Hannah, and we were at Daryl Hannah's one time. I think she knew him at the time, but they weren't going out. I kind of wish I'd known about that. Sorry, I divulge and I'm going a bit awful. But so he's on the list because I think as an artist, he is the thing that I would aspire to be, that you don't make music for people, you make music for yourself. And if other people like it, that's good, you know. And I think he seems like he's got a lot of integrity about him, and he doesn't give a fuck, I don't think. He doesn't care. And so I guess that's why I totally look up to him. And there's loads of guys like him, but I think the way he sings and stuff, and the fact he's done it for so long, like...
Yeah, that's an excellent choice. I'm pretty sure there was somebody else on the podcast picked Neil Young as well. I think it was Chris Helm for the Seahorses. And it was him. I didn't realise he was married to Daryl Hannah until he told me.
You know, I don't know if they're married. I think they might be married now.
I think that's what they say.
But which is like that's quite a weird pairing. Like Daryl's lovely, but I wouldn't have put them together. But yeah.
Yeah. So what you cooking them? Since you're a good cook.
You know what? I do really nice fish, really nice roast potatoes. Well, I think I'd probably be quite selfish and just do like a big massive mac and cheese. Big massive tray of mac and cheese. Yeah, maybe get a wee bit of haggis.
Sounds good.
Wee bit of haggis sprinkled on it. It's make me hungry.
Yeah, I've never done that. That sounds amazing.
It's good.
Yeah, I might do that for my wife. My wife's English. She loves mac and cheese, but I've never done that. I might try that.
Cook it, get it through it. It's banging.
Brilliant. They're all brilliant choices, Rab. Thank you very much for coming on.
No worries. Thanks for having me, mate.
I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Time for Heroes podcast. If you would like to get in touch, the best way is on the Facebook page, Time for Heroes podcast, or on Instagram at Time for Heroes podcast, or Twitter at Time for Heroes P1, or drop me an email at timeforheroespod@gmail.com. You'll find Time for Heroes on all podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple, Google and Amazon. Please leave a review where you can, share with others, and more importantly, enjoy.